Indeed we do. Perfect conditions for racing this afternoon. A little bit of a breeze, nice and warm, sunny, not too hot, not too humid. Perfect conditions for a motor race. Once again, a standing start. Everybody seems to be in position. We'll wait for the green flag to be waved at the rear of the field. There it is. The field is now under starters' orders, and momentarily the starting lights will go on.
Yeah, revs are coming up. You see the smoke coming out of the side of those Optimas. Lights go out and we're green, underway. It looks like everybody gets away right away. And Dean Martin, Spencer Pompelli trying to go to the inside of Kurt Rezatano. He's going to go down to the inside and shut the door in turn number one. Aquilante back to fourth. It's a 3 wide into 1 with Cooper and Chris Wilson.
Great start by Michael Cooper from the 10th position on the grid in at number 10 Black Dog Speed Shop Chevrolet Camaro Z28R.
Goes all the way up to 4th place, picking up 6 positions from the start-finish straight to the entrance of turn number 1. Ben Klukas and Mark Wilkins protecting the inside down through turn number 4. On the inside pass, Kurt Rezatano side by side the 2 Mustangs through turn number 4.
Tremendous racing going all the way down the field, but it is still Dean Martin who leads from Spencer Pompelli in 2nd place.
Wow, Spencer Pompelli now got ahead of Dean Martin.
He's got past him, right?
Absolutely. Spencer Pompelli, that DW Motorsports, iTrackZone.com Mustang up into 1st. Dean Martin in 2nd. And look at Michael Cooper up to 3rd place, starting 10th. So 7 corners now, and he's all the way up to 3rd place, starting to put pressure on Dean Martin.
That's a brand new car this season, that Z28R. And it is it's running a lot of street car technology on that, including 19-inch wheels, which are very rare on a racing car. It's got running a slightly higher ride height than many of these other contenders. They're still sorting out that car, but it's a stock engine.
Modification whatsoever to that Camaro Z28, and good run for him as he's looking for a little breathing room on the inside. On the power move, though, Kurt Rezatano going to the outside of the braking zone. Michael Cooper knows that Mustang's got a little bit of...
Yeah, and we've seen from the first couple of weekends of competition that the Chevy Camaro certainly loses out a little bit on straight line speed compared to the other cars, particularly the Ford Mustangs. But Michael Cooper, as he did in a rain in America's, just a brilliant drive.
Yeah, watching these cars come through that complex of corners turn, has only done 3 Pirreli World Challenge starts right now, leading here in his 4th start.
Yes, and it's been a magnificent performance by him. There he is out front of the field. He got past Dean Martin on that opening lap, and now he is hanging on to that lead. There's an instant there for Dan Martinson. Heavy contact with the left front of that gear tie Ford Mustang, and his race is done. We'll have to see occasion, and perhaps we can continue under green flag conditions. And meanwhile, at the front of the field, coming into turn 13 and 14 for the 2nd time, it is still Spencer Pompelli who leads. Dean Martin in 2nd place, and Michael Cooper. He's really taken advantage of the handling of that Chevy Camaro up in Pirreli.
Yeah, starting to lose touch there with the leaders, and just doesn't have the legs down the straightaway. We see Kurt Rezatano drive around him on the outside into turn number 1. Nothing Cooper can do. Going to put the nose back through there, maybe make it side by side through turn number 3. No, really.
How frustrating is that? I mean, he was way faster through the corners, but the Mustang on the straightaway had to have 10 miles an hour in him, and now here, because down to the inside goes Andrew Aquilante.
Yeah, up to 4th. Cooper does not want to fight to give that up, but he is putting everything he can, trying to wheel that Black Dog Speed Shop Team Chevy Camaro Z28, battling with these Mustangs. He got the Aston Martin of Chris Wilson, had that problem we mentioned a little bit earlier with the broken drive shaft. That racers group, or starting position where he started way up into the field. The 5th, picked up 14 positions to earn that VP Racing Fuel Hard Charger award. Not sure with Dan Martinson trying to get a report from pit lane, but heavy damage to his gear tie Mustang, and great product there with those gear ties. Night Eyes shoe.
Speedy was outgunned yesterday, finished in 3rd place, which is a great run in the debut for Spencer Pompelli with that DWW Motorsports entry, but he certainly made the changes they made to that car overnight, really do seem to be working.
And Chris Wilson moves up to the 5th place, drives around Michael Cooper again, down into turn number 1. Looks like we are going to go full course yellow, unfortunately, so full course yellow. 3 laps in, 4.5 minutes remaining. We see there is the damage, that knot bone, the shoelaces, Night Ice Products, Dan Martinson, debris on the track here, and unfortunately those carbon shards, Jeremy, those can eat up any tires as well as these Pirreli P0s.
Yeah, it looks like it might have been turn 4, doesn't it? I think that short shoot between 4 and 5, there's some bits and pieces of what looks like broken tire and probably some bodywork from the front of that Mustang, but heavy damage to the left front corner. It's a great looking car, but at least it was a great looking car. It's now parked in the runoff area, car is out of the way in a relatively safe location, but the bits and pieces out on a racetrack, no, that's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely, and great heads up driving there by Dan Martinson, getting that gear tie car moved off the track. And if you're around the paddock, head over to the Pirreli World Challenge swag sales, grab yourself a t-shirt. You'll see gear tie all over the place holding all the swag. But there's that Cadillac ATS-V, the official pace car of the Pirreli World Challenge. One of those beautiful cars just waiting to catch our leader here, Spencer Pompelli, followed by Dean Martin, and then those two Phoenix Performance Mustangs, Kurt Resitano and Andrew Aquilante.
Yeah, we see a little bit farther down the order in 8th and 9th positions, the two Kia Optima turbos of Ben Klukas and Mark Wilkins. Ben Klukas driving the number 36 car from England, Mark Wilkins from Canada. Yesterday they ran, in the early stages, ran towards the front of the field, but as the race went on, their tyres, they kind of used up their tyres and faded down the order.
Saw some damage there to Tony Gaples, Black Dog Speed Shop, Chevy Camaro, some front end damage. So obviously the chain effect when there's an incident and stuff happens, that chain effect, just the cars bunch up, and looks like he's got some front engine damage. It'll be interesting to see who has the rear body damage from that impact. Andy Lee starting in the 15th place, moved up to 13th, getting a decent run now in that Best IT Bondurant Crown 7 Camaro with Z28. And Andy Lee, boy, brand new car, made its debut here this weekend. Harry Curtin, the team principal there at Best IT, said, we're going to do this, we're going to go all out. Built a brand new car with 3R Racing and making his debut, looking for good results from Andy Lee. There's Lou Gelati down on pit lane in that LG Motorsports Aston Martin Vantage GT4. Not the problem we're getting from Lou, but down on pit lane slow as he comes down. Looks like that could be terminal.
Great to see, though, that kind of traditional color scheme now for Lou Gelati on the car this weekend. Black with sort of yellow and orange flames coming over, licking over the bonnet of that car, over the hood of that car. It really does look cool, but it doesn't look so cool when it's running slowly down the pit lane.
Yeah, just got word that the number 33, Dan Martinson, the gear tie car, unfortunately had some contact with the wall. Just kind of scraped it.
Obvious, I'm afraid.
Well, twice actually. Kind of scraped the wall a little bit. That damaged the left front suspension. He kept going. Unfortunately, next corner.
Did
no
the job
grip, no
properly.
bribe. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and finish that job. Put a stamp on it, right? There's Lou Gelati. It looks like that might have actually been a drive-through penalty for Lou, so possibly one of those standing starts. So we'll get that going.
Yeah, maybe got a little anxious there at the start. Got on away a little bit early. Somebody else coming into pit lane as well. Is that Tony Gaples?
Absolutely. You see the front engine damage on that Chevy Camaro Z28. Possible overheating problems there with the radiator kind of punching that in. Maybe it's a good chance. He was all the way back in the 15th position. And we currently have, 19 cars on the track running right now. So not a lot of loss for that Black Dog team to come in, pop the hood, look for some damage through that car, make sure everything is okay, and get Tony Gaples back on the track.
And Chris Wilson's shown ahead of Michael Cooper that time. Not quite sure whether that change occurred right before we went to yellow, but certainly Chris Wilson didn't make the best of starts in the Aston Martin, slipped down back a couple of positions, and now in the 5th position, 5th place ahead of Michael Cooper. Then Jack Baldwin, who's another guy who would expected to make some moves at the start, but he at least is there in the 7th place, right ahead of the two Kias. The second of them has a little bit of front damage there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's something that's protruding out of Mark Wilkins' Kia Optima or something that's been inserted into Mark Wilkins' Kia Optima on that front bumper. We'll get a look at that, but Mark Wilkins, unfortunately finished second in that championship last year, such a heartbreaker, but did secure the manufacturer's championship for Kia in the 2014 season. And when you get those manufacturers that pay the bills, I think Kia is you always go for the manufacturer's championship versus the driver's championship, but I know Mark Wilkins wants it really bad.
Yeah, I mean, they led the drivers' championship pretty much the whole season long and had it snatched away literally on the final weekend. But at least there was, as you say, some consolation for that Kia team. And the Kinetic Motorsports crew has worked really, really hard on those cars over the years, and it's now a very, very potent package. But as a turbocharged 2-liter car, it certainly puts a lot of strain on that front axle.
Well, perfect. Well, we'll get our cars back up in the Mustang, getting on that rollback truck. Stick around here at WorldChallengeTV.com and Torque.tv for live coverage of the Pirreli World Challenge Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, round number 4 of GTS. We'll be right back.
Today's coverage of the Pirreli World Challenge Championships is being brought to you by Nissan, innovation that excites, by Motul, official lubricants of the Pirreli World Challenge, and by the Kia Optima, not your average midsize sedan.
Its effects on Challenge Society really came about because, not because I was selfish and wanted one for myself, which I did. It's because I had a passion my whole life. I wanted to teach myself to build computers. I wanted to build these things for free. I just wanted to do it for the world. And, you know, when you want something, that's what you do the best.
No one forces us to race. We choose to be here. It's the connection to the car. Our ability to control the chaos. That's what drives our passion.
Now's the time, no delay. Gotta get going now, there's no more time to waste. More speed, less haste. 100 miles and running, never touch the brakes. See that counting, we can't let them wait. Never late, cause it's time. This time, gotta move quick, gotta move faster. Wanna speed up, gotta move past your time is time. It has no master.
And welcome back to our live coverage of World Challenge TV and Torque.tv for round 4 of the Pirreli World Challenge Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. We're under yellow here. Full course if you're just joining us. Dan Martinson unfortunately had some contact with the wall in his gear tie. Night Eyes, Not Bones, Ford Mustang Boss 302S prepared by Leo Capaldi Racing, and kept in it a little bit and had a bigger impact. Sort of finished it off there at the end, and we're under a full course yellow for the cleanup.
Yeah, that thankfully this is the second race of the weekend for the GTS category, so they don't have to thrash to get that car prepared for tomorrow. They've now got a few weeks off to prepare for the next races.
Well, it's your chance now that we see a lot of these cars. You'll see on the top of the car here, all shod cars here in 20 GTS have that Replay XD Prime X digital camera on there, and it's your chance to win one of those Prime X cameras all weekend long. So we're giving away those one at every one of our races with our text to win. Grab that cell phone and text the word replay to 313131 to win one of those Replay XD Prime X cameras. And I think we need to get one in the broadcast booth. Maybe we could. I think we're the stars.
We don't want to see us. That's for
no,
sure.
That's
313131. Text that number. And there's a replay camera there on offer.
Yeah, I don't think we're eligible, though, unfortunately. Darn it.
Damn.
But hey, fans can get a good chance for it. A lot of people listening around all over the country and worldwide at worldchallengetv.com, torque.tv. Heard from Danita, Cameron, and Kyle in California. They're going to do the text-to-win program right now, try to get that camera. So good job for them out there in Northern California it is. And got that gear tie. The great safety crew here at St. Petersburg, all part of this conglomerate of the St. Petersburg Grand Prix, and part of this Pirreli World Challenge Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. 13 minutes have expired so far. We still have 36 minutes remaining on the clock. We'll get that car cleared and hopefully get back under green here in just a few more moments. And that standing start we had, that sort of levels the playing field on the standing start. You get to the rolling start, and that's when we're going to start utilizing that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone where the lead car can determine when they want to start down that straightaway before the green flag. What sort of strategy do you think is going to play out in Spencer Pompelli and Dean Martin? And don't count those two Phoenix Performance Mustangs.
Well, that's exactly right. We've got 4 Ford Mustangs there at the front of the field, and we know the performance of those 4 cars is pretty much identical because they're all the same specification. So that should be just a question of making a good clean run out of the final corner and timing the run and make sure that somebody doesn't get a jump on you in terms of Spencer Pompelli. You know, he's a veteran at racing, so he knows how to control restarts. This is nothing new to him. The car might be new to him, the team might be new to him, but certainly restarts is not new. Tell you what, though, that DWW Motorsports team, I give my hat off to them because they're running out of a fifth wheel trailer. They don't have a huge transporter. They don't have huge sponsors. They don't have huge anything. They're just racers, and I love that aspect. They come a relatively small a small one-car team. They want to run 2 cars as soon as they can this season, looking for sponsorship to join that iTrack Zone entry of Spencer Pompelli. but it's still a small operation compared to many other much bigger teams around them, and here they are running at the front of the field.
And there's no better place to advertise your company on than the car that's sitting there in the lead. Make it happen if you're listening right now. Personally, text me. I'll give you the number, but looks like Jerry Russett, our official starter for the Pirreli World Challenge. 1 lap to go here, so we'll get cars back to turn number 10. Lights will go out on that Cadillac ATS V pace car. 1 to go till we go back under green here. A little over 33 minutes remaining once we go back to green. So plenty of time for action here in our GTS race, round number 4. Next up on the schedule for these cars will be our Barber Motorsports Park. That's coming up here at the end of April, and that's another one of those tight courses, rolling hills, beautiful in Birmingham, Alabama. Cannot be a better course. And
very smooth surface as well, so quite different proposition to the streets here on St. Petersburg. This is a really challenging race course here. It's a great challenge for the cars and the drivers. A really good mix of corners here, but it is relatively bumpy. When they go to Barber, completely different setup will be required on these cars.
And don't forget, you can watch our expanded coverage on CBS Sports Network. We'll get the in-car cameras, driver interviews, as well as the full race action here this weekend at the Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, starting on April 5th at 5 p.m. Eastern. So tune in to CBS Sportsnet for the coverage of GTS round number 4.
Spencer Pumpelly yesterday had that great run to finish on the podium, but didn't have quite the pace of the 2 leaders yesterday. But they made some changes to that car overnight. Speak to Dave Woodley and Spencer Pumpelly this morning, and they've got some good ideas, they thought, to make to the setup of that car, just make it a little bit more effective, particularly as the race progressed, because in the early stages yesterday he was running right with the leaders, and then he slipped back after that, and he felt this morning that car was going to be a lot more competitive today, because it's a very steep learning curve for them. They've done I think 1 day of testing before they came here, so very little track time, and it's a steep learning curve, so they've learned very much yesterday, and look where they are right now, right at the front of the field.
Yeah, doing a great job. And you talk about that underdog story, there they are, leading 19 different GTS cars coming through the field. A couple other notables in our field that we saw at Miller Motorsports Park last year. Nick Kasayan in that Travel Clean Speed34.com Ford Mustang from Leo Capaldi Racing, having a decent run now, up to 12th place, getting to grips with that Mustang. It's his 3rd different car in 3 years, the Pirreli World Challenge Championships, trying to get at that as our leader. Spencer Pumpelly looking for that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. A lot of guys in the back will start trying to see when he's going to do that. You see Dean Martin there just barely tapping the brakes. There's those green cones.
Yeah, see the brake lights flashing on there. The throttle pedal is poised as well. And there goes Spencer Pumpelly, drops the hammer on that car number 87 for GW Motorsports, leads across the line, got a very good job there on Dean Martin. Look at this battle for 3rd place.
Yeah, Andrew Alcalante over the teammates, Kurt Rezzatano, but we're 4 wide coming down to the inside. Jack Roush Jr. on the inside of both Kias, see if he can make that stick. Andy Lee going to try to follow him through.
Wow, that was a tight moment there, but they all made it through unscathed. And Jack Roush Jr. tucks in behind those 2 Kias, but it is now a change for 3rd and 4th positions. As you said, the 2 Phoenix Performance Ford Mustangs, those identical Calvert black and yellow liveried cars, they are very closely matched, but Andrew Aquilante, the more senior driver there, he moves himself through into the 3rd place, and now he will try to challenge Dean Martin for 2nd.
I think he was just a little jealous of the youngster getting the podium yesterday, says it's my turn to get a little bit of that love as well. Got around that, but look at that Mustang, 1, 2, 3, and 4 really suits this track. The soft lap there, Rezzatano right up against the wall, coming out onto Dan Roldan Boulevard, goes through this little short complex here, and those quick S's, and then back out onto the runway.
Yeah, we've got a battle on our hands now. These first 4 Mustangs are very, very closely matched. Pulled out just a few car lengths over Chris Wilson in 5th place, but Chris Wilson, they've stiffened up the setup on that Aston Martin considerably since yesterday, and Chris Wilson was feeling that the track should be much grippier now than it was yesterday. With the Verizon IndyCar Series cars just out on the racetrack, should be a lot more rubber laid down. He felt that was going to be to the benefit of his Aston Martin.
Well, Mark Clennon started in the 13th place, was trying to look for good things. He's moved up 1 position in 12th in that invisible glass. Aston Martin GT4, doing a new program all on his own with Clinton Performance Racing and holding it up, steady at 12. But there's Spencer Pumpelly, pulled out a nice sizable lead as Andrew Alcalante onto the inside of Dean Martin. Can his teammate Rezzatano follows him through? No, side by side as they come down here. Great stuff from these 2 Mustangs.
And really good driving for both of them. They each gave each other just enough room through that corner, so there's no contact and they continue. It's still Dean Martin in second place, but Dean must have made a mistake going through that first complex of corners, because all of a sudden Spencer Pirreli has pulled out a sizable advantage.
Yeah, he's almost about 10 car lengths ahead of this group, the battle for second. And it could be anybody. Chris Wilson, Michael Cooper, even Jack Baldwin. Somebody has a little bit of an error, holds somebody up. It's Andrew Aquilante showing that front of that Mustang all in the mirrors of Dean Martin. Dean Martin, big power slide onto Dan Weldon Boulevard there, in the gas in that Ford Mustang.
Really good racing going on there. As we saw yesterday, the Porsche Cayman in particular came on strong towards the end of the race. And I fancy we'll be likely to see the same thing today. I think Jack Baldwin, that much lighter Porsche Cayman, might be struggling for ultimate speed, particularly on the front straightaway here. But that car handles absolutely beautifully, and it takes care of its Pirreli tyres.
1.8 seconds, the official time from your leader, Spencer Pirreli, back to Dean Martin. And I can't even count quick enough to tell you the gap between second, third, and fourth of Andrew Aquilante and Kurt Resitano.
Yeah, it's not very much at all. That battle continuing there, but look at Andrew Aquilante now. He's certainly beginning to put the pressure on Dean Martin. Must have been a mistake by Dean last time around. This time, though, no mistakes. Comes up with a slightly enhanced advantage into that turn 4, 5, 6, 7 complex. But in the meantime, it's Spencer Pirreli who's setting sail at the front. Advantage last time around, better part of 2 seconds.
Michael Cooper there trying all he can to stay on that back bumper of Chris Wilson in the 6th place. Really fighting his Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro Z28, and it seems to be just not a handling issue, but more of that power issue, trying to get these balanced performance equalized amongst all these cars. Won the race at Circuit of the Americas. That was in the rain, had a great job. I talked to Ray, the crew chief there at Black Dog Speed Shop, and said, you know, you should put that note in the book about what the rain setup is, and anytime we got some weather, just pull it out, start making the setups, and watch Michael Cooper go.
Tell you what, the main trick up that team's sleeve was Michael Cooper. It was he who put on an exemplary performance there. It was a real driving clinic in the rain in that Chevrolet Camaro. And yeah, you talk about Ray Sorensen, a huge amount of experience in this sport, was a crew chief at Newman Haas Racing in the Champ Car IndyCar days for a long time. So that really does know what they're doing. Various other Newman Haas mechanics on that team as well, ex-Newman Haas guys. Trevor Weston, who was with that team a long time. Just a wealth of experience. Mark Wider, the engineer. Mark Wider engineered the car with which Sage Karam did such a magnificent job at Indianapolis Motor Speedway last year, you might recall. But yeah, that huge amount of experience. But look at this battle now between those two Phoenix performance cars. Kurt Resitano is really putting the pressure again onto Andrew Aquilante.
Yeah, those inter-team battles, I know always the teammate with talking with team principal Joe Aquilante, they got their own programs, they can come out and they can race, but please don't take each other out, no contact. And we've seen that amongst these top 4 Mustangs sort of working together, pulling away from the field, giving each other a lot of room. I tell you what, with 27 minutes remaining though, that room gets narrower and narrower and narrow as we go along, and smoke coming out of the back of Nick Asayan's car. You see in the front of that Special Operation Warriors Foundation as well. It looks like that might be a little tire rub. We saw this in qualifying as well, had smoke coming out, so we'll see if that's going to be a terminal problem or not. But Nick Asayan, no fluids looked like it was being dropped. He's still going full speed ahead.
Last time around, new fastest lap of the race for our 2nd place car, Dean Martin. When we come across the line here, he's still just a little bit closer to our race leader Spencer Pirreli. Spencer Pirreli, super consistent at the front of the field. His last 3 laps within just over 1/10 of a second each of them, about a 1 minute 19.9 or 1 minute 19.8. Last time around, what Dean Martin turned a 1:19.6. So again, he just clipped another 1/10 of a second away from the lead. But it's still a good margin now for Spencer Pirreli. And Dean Martin, he's still got to contend with those 2 Phoenix performance cars right behind him.
Yeah, I talked with Dean in the press conference room yesterday on that race win. He says, you know, I hired an engineer this year, got help coming from Watson Racing, of course, Chuck Watson supporting that Mustang there. And he says, that helps me because now I can focus on driving the car. Before I'm out there driving around going, okay, I need to make this change. I got to adjust this. How am I going to do this? Now he's going fast. 5 wins, all on street circuits, trying to make it 6. And I got to think, I'm watching the balance of that Mustang, the way it's going. He's in pure saving mode right now. Look for things coming from Dean Martin here at the end.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's looking after that car. He managed the pace perfectly yesterday to win the race. And right now, though, he certainly lost some ground on that lap, it would seem to me, to the naked eye, to Spencer Pirreli. Once again, Spencer Pirreli, a 1:19.9 that time around, just eked out about another tenth of a second only over the race leader. But this consistency of Pumpelly, that is what strikes me, because these cars, you can see how soft they are. They're rolling around an awful lot. It's really difficult to be consistent when the car moves around that much, Jeff.
Yeah, it really does. And you did see Nick Kasayan coming into the pits. That Leo Capaldi racing team will look at that car and see if they can get it fixed and get Nick Kasayan back underway. But Andrew Aquilante looks like he's starting to climb up and catch that battle. Here's a good battle going on with Jeff Reeves, Preston Calvert, and sandwiched in between is Buzz McCall in the second of the reset in the Porsche Cayman S's. And Buzz McCall looking on the inside of Jeff Reeves, the Shadowworks Camaro Z28. Not making a move there, but Buzz McCall, how about that? This battle going on between these three drivers, that's a battle for 14th.
Yeah, that's a cool battle, actually. And not too far ahead of them, actually, is the second of the best IT cars, Andy Lee. We talked about him a little while ago. He's a fair way up the road, but he must have made a mistake on the last lap, because he'd got that car, number 20, up into the 11th place, lost 2 places last time around, and it cost him about 6 or 7 seconds of lap time. So I think a mistake for Andy Lee. He's now back in the 13th place behind Mark Clennin in that the invisible glass Aston Martin.
Well, Jeff Reeves in that Shadowworks Camaro, you saw him fighting that ABS, went a little deep in the corner. That allowed Buzz McCall to close that gap a little bit. And speaking of closing gaps, you do see Andrew Aquilante all over the back bumper of Dean Martin. Can he make the move? Get off the inside. He's going to put his nose there. It'll be a battle under braking. Who's going to brake last? It's going to be Dean Martin. Not able to get any gain is Aquilante on momentum on that Dean Martin. And a great job. But still, we see that, Jeremy, just giving enough room, but not enough.
Not quite enough, no. It's a really good battle going on here between these three. And Spencer Pumpelly, he's only a second or so out in front, but again, turning really nice, consistent lap times and doing exactly what he needs to do. Trying to keep that car as straight as he can, trying not to stress those Pirelli tires too much.
Well, Andrew Aquilante right up against the wall on the exit, using every inch of track as he's got damage to the left rear of that car. A little trim piece starting to come loose and fall off there. No harm, no foul. Coming out through that little quick S complex. Spencer Pumpelly, though, what a shot here. He ran the racers group, that beautiful McLaren SLR Mercedes that they made 2 races with, and unfortunately that program was not able to accelerate forward. Kind of took some time off. That was a fair bit of years ago, and says it's a lot different because he's an endurance racer and he comes over here to the sprint race format. He can have the mirror set where he wants. He can have the seat set where he wants. His vision, he doesn't have to make any concessions. As Dean Martin goes way wide in one, Andrew Aquilante going to get around him, and didn't see that on our cameras there. We saw the glimpse of the aftermath, but Andrew Aquilante up to second.
Yeah, again, once again, a mistake from Dean Martin. We haven't seen any mistakes really this season up until now from Dean Martin, but he's made 2 in this race. The second one then finally cost him a place to Andrew Aquilante. He must have gone a little bit too deep on the brakes into turn 1, and Andrew Aquilante able to sneak through. So we now got a Phoenix Performance Mustang sandwich, and in the middle of that sandwich is Dean Martin, down now into 3rd place. Look how these 4 cars are pulled away from everybody else. Not only that, it's now Michael Cooper who's moved himself back up into the 5th position at the expense of Chris Wilson's Aston Martin.
Yeah, we saw that coming out with Michael Cooper trying everything he could, and I see Dean Martin there now under attack from Kurt Rezatano. He's going to be right on the back bumper. Those 2 Mustangs battling for that 4th position, and I know that Dean Martin does not want to lose another Bart. One of the biggest fans of Pirelli World Challenge is the Picture Cars East, Gino Lucci, on the side of that car with Dean Martin, and he's got to be up on the stands every time the car goes by. He's up there with his hand in the air, waving and screaming and yelling. And Gino, we love you, and we'll see your man here going in 3rd place, but battling for this lead, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. What a great battle here in GTS. And Chris Wilson losing another spot to Ben Klukas. We'll have to get a report down from pit lane and see if there's any issues going on with that Aston Martin of Chris Wilson.
Yeah, the other guy's lost a couple of places lately is the reset MD Porsche Cayman of Jack Baldwin. He's fallen behind both of the Kia Optimus, so Jack Baldwin now back into the 9th place. Andrew Aquilante has now found a way past Dean Martin as well. So Dean Martin, having run 2nd place for the first 16 laps of the race, now back into 4th all of a sudden.
Yeah, Kurt Rezatano got around him. Not sure where that happened again, but wow, it's Dean Martin, not what he wanted to have happen here with your round 3 winner. Back to 4th place now for that Picture Cars East for Hegan Racing Mustang. got word from pit lane the 34 was unfortunately oil coming out of the overflow that was causing our smoke, and not terminal, but we're gonna have to try to see if they can get that cleaned up and get back underway. So heartbreak for him. And Tony Gaples, unfortunately, with that contact that he had earlier with Lou Gelati damaging that front engine, the car has been retired. He's out of the car, and not the way he wanted to end his trip here to Florida.
No, certainly isn't. Andrew Aquilante, though, is now putting the hammer down. He was telling me this morning he had an axle failure yesterday. He felt his car was really coming on strong towards the end of the race yesterday. He was still some way back from the front few in that race yesterday, but he was making good progress up into third place, and he felt, or into fourth place, he felt he was certainly on for a podium position, but unable to achieve that because of the failure, but certainly doing a nice job now. He's up into second place. Can he reduce that gap to Spencer Pirreli? I don't know, because for the last 2 laps, Spencer Pirreli has turned his best laps of the race, and he's eked out that margin in the front now to over 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's 2.087. Previous lap, however, Aquilante was 0.2 of a second quicker than Spencer Pirreli, and there is that damaged car of Lou Gelati from the contact with Gaples. Going to try to limp that back to pit lane and park that car, as we see Kurt Rezzitano ahead of Dean Martin third. So it's Phoenix Performance second and third, 2 steps on the podium, but I know that those 2 drivers want to have one of those Calvert Dynamics Phoenix Performance Mustangs on that top step, but right now that belongs to the iTrackZone.com Ford Mustang Boss 302 of Spencer Pirreli and DWW Motorsports. Just a great drive.
Yeah, it really is, and comes across the line to complete lap 19, lap time at 1:19.86. One incredible consistency by Spencer Pirreli. The gap back to second place. Yes, it came down a little bit again last time around. Andrew Aquilante a little bit closer, but still he's got some ground to make up if he's going to catch Spencer Pirreli.
There was the pass on the replay over Dean Martin. Andrew Aquilante there, you saw, yeah, way deep into number 1 for Dean Martin, and he's starting to fade back. Got to be in preservation mode, it looks like now, to try if he can salvage what he can. Now, Pirreli World Challenge rules made a rule adjustment here in the off season, and you have to complete 50% of the race lap now to get points. We are over that with 17 minutes remaining here in this race. So he will get finishing points, but if there is a problem and starting to drop back, hopefully there's not much going on, but he has tremendously fall back now. It's over 2.5 seconds to third place.
Yeah, 1:21 last time around for Dean Martin, so certainly more than a second off the pace that he had been running in the early stages. Michael Cooper has pulled out there in the 5th position in car number 10, that Black Dog Speed Shop Chevrolet Camaro, and he's got a handy margin now over Ben Klukas, who is up ahead of the Aston Martin and pulling away now in the 6th position.
Well, what a great shot, watching all those cars four-wheel drift through that corner, and you see that left front on that Roush Performance Ford Mustang, and Jack Roush Jr. just carry through that corner, planting that right rear Pirreli P0 tire and shooting down that straightaway. That was great stuff.
Certainly is very impressive indeed. And
oh, here's the pass of Rezzitano. Got the run coming out of turn number 4 down the straightaway here in the hard braking zone at turn number 5 on the right. Nothing Dean Martin can do. Let him have that corner. Tried to see if he can pull an over-under, not able to make it happen.
He's not the gap. Last time around, it was actually Andrew Aquilante who lost a little bit of ground. Lost a half a second on that last lap. Again, it's that consistency of Spencer Pirreli. Once again, 1:19.82. So his lap time, Spencer Pirreli, our race leader in that car number 87, within thousandths of a second each time around. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah, you hit your marks on a street circuit, and if you do that consistently every single lap, and there's not a chance you're going to get touched there with those lap times.
That's exactly right, and you know, it's so difficult here because the track surface is inconsistent. There's a lot of horsepower in these cars, and they're not not that sophisticated. Yes, they're proper race cars, but they're still production derived, and they are much softer in terms of setup than they would be the case if they were a purpose-built racing machine. So with those two facts combined, being consistent isn't that easy.
Well, we see a lot of shade coming on this racetrack now as they move in through that downtown and stadium complex here, with the buildings providing some shade. And I got to think, you talked about it earlier, Jeremy, with Jack Baldwin in that Reset MD Porsche Cayman. Traditionally has been better on those Pirreli P0 tires near the end, a lightweight, more nimble car versus the soft-sprung Mustangs or the Camaro Z28. You got to think maybe Baldwin's holding out a little bit to the end, sitting back in 9th. He's going to have a long way to go and slowly running out of time with just 15 minutes remaining.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think it's perhaps apparent now that Jack Baldwin not particularly happy with the balance on that car, or not with something on that car, because I'd have expected him to be making more progress than he is. Instead, the guy who's really making progress is Michael Cooper, who's turning some of the fastest laps racing within a tenth of a second of his personal best time in that car, just outside the 120 bracket, 120.4 last time around. But he's pulling away from Ben Klukas in the 6th position.
He is 4.5 seconds behind Dean Martin the previous lap. We'll wait till they come back around and see if he's starting to close that gap onto Dean Martin. He was faster than Dean the previous lap, as there is your leaders, 1, 2, 3, down the front runway on concrete, hard into the braking zone. You turn across the paint, switch over to asphalt, come through this turn 2, turn 3 complex. The right-hander here being turn number 3, which is a flat-out little kink onto the straightaway here, and it's hard down into the braking zone at turn number 4. You see the dips, the elevation changes, the bike lane, the paints that go back to concrete. You enter a parking lot on the backside right here. You see all the spaces there. How do the engineers and these drivers deal with all those asphalt changes and degrees of asphalt, concrete, bumps, bruises, everything else?
Yeah, and the track kind of changes its character as the race progresses as well. More rubber gets laid down, and it becomes more grippy as the race runs on, but also if there's fluids laid down, it gets more slippery as well. So track conditions certainly can change. And
here's that battle once again we saw with Preston Calvert, the battle for 13th, down on the inside of Buzz McCall, and Preston Calvert down through turn number 1 in that Calvert Dynamics GoPuck Phoenix Performance Mustang, making the pass for 13th over Buzz McCall. Great run from him.
Cool to see. The older statesman in the field is Buzz McCall, but he drives with every bit of passion that he's always had. He's a tremendous enthusiast, a great sportsman, and just absolutely enjoying this like no other. I mean, he almost acts like a kid. Both he and Jack Baldwin, they're both well into their 60s, but you wouldn't know it from looking at them. You think they were teenagers.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna comment on that. So
I'm close to their age, so I can talk about it.
Here's that move. We saw Dean Martin with Andrew Aquilante getting around him, and now Kurt Rezzitano on the replay here for the battle for 2nd and 3rd, and Dean back to 4th. We talked about that gap, 4.5 seconds with Michael Cooper. He picked up a half a second that last lap. The gap only 4 seconds between Cooper and Dean Martin now.
Yeah, and in the meantime, the race leader, Spencer Pirreli, just stretched out another couple of tenths of a second over Andrew Aquilani. And again, super consistent. He's down in the 20s now, 1 minute 20s. For Spencer Pirreli, but again, just thousandths between his last 2 laps.
Well, yeah, he dropped off about a couple thousandths. So
couple of tenths.
Yeah, a couple tenths.
Yeah, it's remarkable, actually. If you go back all the way back to lap 11 on the restart, so we've got 12 laps since then. All of them have been within 3/10 of a second.
Yeah, absolutely amazing, and tells you the caliber of driver Spencer Pirreli and the caliber of drivers you need in this GTS field that all make up the Pirreli World Challenge with Mark Wilkins. I mean, do a name of a who's who. Mark Wilkins, Jack Baldwin, the racing history he's got here. Aston Martin, Kia with the Manufacturers Championship with that turbocharged 4-cylinder Optima, this Vantage GT4, the Porsche Cayman, Ford Mustang, Chevy Camaro Z28, 18 manufacturers competing here this weekend, and it's amazing over what Pirreli World Challenge, it truly is racing how it should be. It's quite fun to have and great to be a part of here for round number 4 of our Cadillac Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Go through your top 5 here with Spencer Pirreli in the iTrack Zone DWW Motorsports Ford Mustang Boss 302, leading over Andrew Aquilante and Kurt Rezzitano, the 2 Phoenix American Motorsports, Preston Calvert Dynamics Ford Mustang 302S, and Dean Martin in the Rehegan Racing Picture Cars East in 4th, and Michael Cooper, that Black Dog Speed Shop Team Chevy Camaro Z28, rounds out your top 5 in the running order with just a little over 10 minutes remaining in this session.
Yeah, that's right. Time's ticking down here now. We've just about 40 minutes into the race, almost 40 minutes into the race, so just 10 to go. And there's that battle again continuing between Preston Calvert and Buzz McCall. They exchange positions one more time. These 2 guys, they are having fun.
Absolutely. You got to see that they're battling back and forth. Preston Calvert doing double duty here this weekend, racing his Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car in the GT Cup class presented by Momo. He ran the race a little bit earlier today and now in this Mustang. And we just have to call him Iron Man. Preston here is doing double duty. Already did one 50-minute race. He has to do another one later on in the afternoon.
less than a tenth of a second bracket the lap times for our race leader Spencer Pirreli the last 4 times around. Again, that super consistency is really telling, and he's stretched that lead now over at Andrew Aquilandi to almost 3 seconds, with just exactly now 10 minutes to go.
Got a little glimpse there of Andy Lee in that Chevy Camaro. There's his teammate Jeff Reeves, the 2 Z28s, that best IT prepped cars. And Harry Curtin, of course, the supporter here with those 2 cars. We saw him race Pirreli World Challenge, and going to try to get a car going, hopefully, and we'll see Harry Curtin back in the field. But big investment into his team, and we really appreciate that, to give the best equipment to those 2 drivers. We'll see those yellow Camaros get some laps on those. The first laps on Andy's Lee Camaro we ever got was actually at the Bondurant driving school at night on the test course. I'll talk about last-minute preparations, getting cars ready.
Yeah, it's a remarkable effort those guys have put through to get that car out on the racetrack. They had some problems here on Thursday in the test session in the afternoon, but they've made really, really good progress. And Andy Lee, he's turning lap times in the his best lap time is a 1:20.8, so that's within about a second of our race leader, Spencer Pirreli. So to be that close with that car so early in its development phase, that bodes well, I think, for the future for Andy Lee and that best IT Chevy team.
Yeah, sure tells you the prep work that best IT team does. Looks like it's getting a little closer here. Jack Baldwin's starting to catch up to the back of Mark Wilkins, looking onto the inside. That small, nimble, using those stop tech brakes down at turn number 1, but got back under it. And Chris Wilson still struggling a little bit with Mark Wilkins, and Jack Baldwin hot on his tail.
Great battle here going on here. That is for the 7th position. Chris Wilson just holding on ahead of Mark Wilkins and Jack Baldwin, and Jack Rouse Jr. pretty close behind them as well. And they seem to be now inching closer again to Ben Klukas. Ben Klukas had pulled out a little bit of an advantage over that little battle, but it seems to be stabilized now. And as we saw yesterday, the Kias, as the race drew towards its conclusion, the front-wheel drive turbo machines really did seem to use up their tires, and they were coming under pressure from various other cars in the later stages. What was that running across?
Wow, a little squirrel there just said, wow, there's cars coming. I better get off this track and pull back away, because the last thing we want to have happen is some damage there to that Aston Martin. But that squirrel got out of the way very quickly.
You're not worried about the squirrel then, huh?
No, I care more about the car. Yeah, don't want to hurt an Aston Martin. Come on here, Jeremy.
Oh man,
cars are truly a work of art. All of our machinery here in the Pirreli World Challenge.
Great battle going on here for this lower positions in the top 10. Again, that's one of the features, isn't it? We have battles all the way through the field. We've got that great battle going on a little bit farther back between Buzz McCall and Preston Calvert. Still a couple of tenths of a second only separating those two. But this battle here, this is the one to watch here for 7th place. And shortly I think it's going to be a battle for 6th, because they're definitely closing now on Ben Klukas in that car number 36.
Yeah, down to 1.3 seconds was the gap. That was well over 3 seconds a little bit earlier. There's Chris Wilson just kind of ducking out a little bit, missing that bump a little bit. We see that on some famous racetracks such as Monaco. You miss that little bump there as you come over before the casino.
After casino, that's right.
There it is, Ben Klukas in that Kia Motors America. And 2 great organizations that Kia does provide there, the DonorsChoose.org and PutOnTheBrakes.org. If you're sitting at your computer watching the live stream at WorldChallengeTV.com or Torque.tv, please go to those websites in a separate window there and make a donation to 2 great organizations with PutOnTheBrakes.org and DonorsChoose.org.
We've got a few similarities between St. Peter's Racetrack and Monte Carlo as well. Don't have the casinos here perhaps, but there's all sorts of other attractions. That Salvador Dali Museum, which we've got a glimpse of there, right by Dan Weldon Way there and turn 10. And the harbour side there, just a great atmosphere. It's a wonderful place for a race meeting, and it's superb to see how the fans have been out in force this weekend already, and a lot more action to come tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. Stands are full as we're here for the world's fastest spring break party. Jack Baldwin all over those stop tech brakes down into the braking zone, trying to see if he can get around Mark Wilkins. That's the 2nd time he's done that, as Jack Baldwin needs to attack now. A little less than 6 minutes remaining in this race.
Yeah, and Andrew Aquilandi, I fancy, has been biding his time, because he's inching a little bit closer now to our race leader. That gap, it was out to 3 seconds on lap 25. 4 laps later, it's down to just over 2. So Andrew Aquilandi, his last lap around was a 1:19.799, and that was about 4/10 of a second quicker than Spencer Pirreli. The last 3 laps, Andrew Aquilandi has been a little bit closer, and with less now, or just over 5 minutes to go, there is time for Andrew Aquilanti to catch Spencer Pumpelly.
Well, that notorious there, always catching, is a lot different. Oh, and here's Preston Calvert right to the inside, just barely hit the brakes to miss that Porsche Cayman, but these guys are just having a battle of the race between this Reset MD Porsche Cayman of Buzz McCall and that Calvert Dynamics Phoenix American Performance Mustang Boss 302. The battle on over that 12th to 13th position, 13th, 14th. Back to the outside, Preston Calvert there under the brakes. Boy, you thought the Top Tech brakes would work a little bit better on that Porsche Cayman with Buzz McCall, and they were all over the ABSs on both of those cars.
That is so cool. Down to turn one, Chris Wilson there just ducks out to the right-hand side to have a look at Ben Klukas, and he wasn't really trying to pass, he was just trying to make sure that Ben Klukas knew he was there. He's trying to pressure Ben Klukas, a relatively young Englishman, certainly new to the North American scene, done a lot of racing in Europe over the years, particularly in GT cars. This is a great opportunity for Ben Klukas. He had a magnificent performance at Circuit of the Americas a couple of weeks ago, where he was setting the fastest lap of the race in race 2. And was running right on the pace in race 1 as well, finished 5th in race 1, and added that to that an 8th place in race 2. But he did, sorry, 2nd place in race 2, and he did set fastest lap.
But once Dean Martin seemed to get in a groove, and aspects of the handling of that Mustang sort of kind of stayed there between that 3.8 and 4.1 second gap over Michael Cooper. Down there is that battle for 13th. And lock-up brakes from Jeff Reeves down into turn number 1 in his Camaro Z28 right in front of our race leader, Spencer Pumpelly. And that kind of makes the heart beat a little bit there when the car in front of you down in the braking zone knocks the brakes up right in front of you.
Yeah, and has Andrew Aquilanti pushed a little bit too hard in that Phoenix Performance car number 32 in 2nd place, because the last 2 laps now, it's Spencer Pumpelly that has redressed the balance and extended that margin again to just less than 3 seconds with, 3.5 minutes to go.
At this track, that's 2, maybe 3 laps remaining here. Wow, there's Preston Calvert right in front of our leader once again. Another heart attack moment for Spencer Pumpelly. Just praying this race gets over, as 2 big heads-up driving maneuvers by Spencer Pumpelly to avoid getting into an incident.
Yikes, that was close for Spencer Pumpelly, and you can look in his mirrors now and you can see all sorts of Calvert Dynamics Phoenix Performance Ford Mustangs in his mirrors. He hopes he doesn't want to see, the one he doesn't want to see is at number 32 of Andrew Aquilanti.
Well, they're all painted identical. I'm not sure
right.
You know which one it is.
No.
Don't let any one of those cars pass you no matter what. As Michael Cooper back to 5th, still that gap at that 3.8 mark, so no way he's gaining right now. But 2 laps to go. It looks like on my timing watching, it is a 50-minute race. There's not a lap count, so we'll go 50 minutes here as we end round at number 4 for Pirreli World Challenge Cadillac Grand Prix at St. Petersburg. Our GTS by far not over till the last lap. Spencer Pumpelly on the back of Buzz McCall down to the inside. Little flash of the turn signal there to let him know he's there. Down to the inside. Great heads up by Buzz McCall.
Yeah, left it pretty rude on the inside. Again, a good insightful pass there from our race leader Spencer Pumpelly. Was absolutely alongside alongside Buzz McCall at the turn-in zone. So Buzz has to cede that position. Does so. It wasn't a passable position, obviously. And Buzz McCall has been around this sport a long enough time to know exactly what he needs to do. Not sure how Preston Calvert does, because he just pulled over right in front of Kurt Resitano. Cost Kurt a lot of time.
Well, they say in the driver's meeting to keep your line. It's the passing car's job, but he did a good job for his teammate, but trying to get out of the way as soon as he can. Here is Spencer Pumpelly coming down through turn number 10 into turn number 11 onto this front stretch. And that iTrackZone.com. Ford Mustang had some shipping issues with the motor, problems with the transmission, and a spare one. Couldn't get 2 cars out here, but 1 lap to go for Spencer Pumpelly. Got 11 corners, 1.8 miles here at St. Petersburg to hold it down, get it done. And that lap, once again, look at that, just a couple tenths slower. Yeah. One of the most consistent runs here. It'd be nice to see that overlay of data on how it was mark after mark after mark, and that's how you win a race.
Yeah, very, very impressive, because Spencer Pumpelly had never seen this track before the first sessions on Friday, but boy, is he taking it to a quick look at the battle now coming down into turn one. Kurt Wilson goes to the outside line as Ben Klukas really does defend the inside into turn one. He does so. Wilson alongside. Is he going to try and go around the long way around the outside? No, he's not able to do that because at the apex to the corner, it is that little Kia that gets on the throttle a little bit sooner, and the Aston Martin has to tuck in behind.
Yeah, not able to do that. Well, Jeremy, finish it out for me. I'm going to head down to Victory Circle, and thank you for joining us at WorldChallengeTV.com and Torque TV.
Yeah, just a few minutes away now. There's the Kia Optima of Mark Wilkins, really having a great battle there with Jack Baldwin, just keeping Jack Baldwin behind him, but now closing on both of those two. In the 10th position, Jack Rouse Jr. We've got a great battle there for 8th, 9th and 10th, those cars tied together as they come around the far end of the racetrack. In the meantime, off the final corner, cuts his pace, ducks to the inside of the racetrack and goes underneath the checkered flag, and a race winner, Spencer Pumpelly, in that Ford Mustang for DWW Motorsports. An absolutely perfect performance from Spencer Pumpelly. This is just his fourth start in the Pirreli World Challenge. Had a magnificent run yesterday to finish on the podium, and he puts that to even better today to come away with a very nicely run victory. And there are the donuts in turn one to prove it. Spencer Pumpelly is one happy guy. This little team from Boston, Massachusetts, they had to literally dig themselves out of the snow to get down here. And here's this battle now across the line, and it is just Ben Klukas who holds on to that sixth position from Chris Wilson in the Aston Martin. That was a tremendous battle. They went all the way to the checkered flag. So it is Spencer Pumpelly who comes away with the victory in car number 87 for the iTrackZone.com entry. Great donuts as well, Spencer. This has really been a driving clinic this afternoon, and he comes away with a really, really finely judged victory. He's a very popular character and is a very fine driver as well. So second place for Andrew Aquilante in that Calvert Dynamics Phoenix Performance Ford Mustang. Third place, his teammate Kurt Resitano in car number 37. In the fourth position, early pollster, the Dean Martin in car number 50. That Rehagan Racing entry comes home in the fourth place. Michael Cooper for Chevrolet Camaro in the fifth place, followed by Ben Klukas, Chris Wilson, Mark Wilkins, Jack Baldwin, and Jack Rouse Jr. will round out the top 10. Hope you've enjoyed the fourth round of the Pirreli World Challenge GTS class. Tomorrow we'll have yet more action for you with the GT cars back on the racetrack for their second race of the weekend. Thanks for joining us here on WorldChallengeTV.com. It's been our pleasure to have you with us, and we will speak to you again tomorrow.
Today's coverage of the Pirreli World Challenge Championships is being brought to you by Nissan, innovation that excites, by Motul, official lubricants of the Pirreli World Challenge, and by the Kia Optima, not your average midsize sedan.
Its effects on society really came about because, not because I was selfish and wanted one for myself, which I did. It's because I had a passion my whole life. I wanted to teach myself to build computers. I wanted to build these things for free. I just wanted to do it for the world. And, you know, when you want something, that's what you do the best.
No one forces us to race. We choose to be here. It's the connection to the car. Our ability to control the chaos. That's what drives our passion.
Now's the time, no delay. Gotta get going now, there's no more time to waste. More speed, less haste. 100 miles and running, never touch the brakes. See that counting,